Okay, I'm going to call our Board of Commissioner meeting to order. George, would you lead us in the pledge this morning, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is a public meeting. We have a long agenda this morning, so we'll try and go as precisely and as efficiently as possible this morning. We have a stack of award thank you notes from many of our 4-H students, 4-H and FFA, that sold animals at the fairs, livestock sales. So we won't take time to go through every one of those notes, but we have summarized who they were from. And Commissioner Elfring, would you read that?
I will. As was said, a number of cards that have been received, and I'm advised that there's an equal number in today's mail. The youth at the Milton Freewater Livestock show and sale have been very diligent in letting us know how much they appreciate it. We've received cards thus far from Blair Brocker for a steer, Mac Murdoch for a steer, Mason Murdoch for a steer, Kendall West for a lamb, Alicia Fine for a lamb, Cadence Fine for a lamb, Gina Hampton, a hog, Riley Hampton, a pig, Brielle Younts, a lamb, and that was on the 14th. On the 17th, cards came from Tejeda Urinda for a beef, who showed a beef, Mallory Walborn for a lamb, Tug Hamby, Sherry Lynn Machado for a market steer, Luke White for a pig, Macy Pearl Machado for a pig, Kali Alanis for a sheep, Rebecca Snetsky, a show hog, Madison Pryor, a lamb, and Palin Richards for a pig. That's a whole bunch of cards. We love receiving them. Wish we could read them all to you, or you could see them all, because they all have a personalized note on them. So we do really appreciate that, and that's because we support the show. As we do the county fair auction and the Pendleton Livestock Show, the Milton Freewater Show was provided with funds in order to boost the amount that the kids receive. As you might understand, some kids get a whole lot because they really might be more popular in the community than others. They're also first maybe on the agenda, so the first place, the first few get the greatest amount. So our funds kind of help equal that out just a little bit to make it fair and just. So that's where it is.
All right. Commissioner Elfring, thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting, we have June 28th and we have July the 5th.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Been moved and second, we adopt the minutes from June 28th and July 5th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, this is a point where we ask for any additions. Doug, any additions to the agenda?
Not that I'm aware. I think most have managed to get it on the agenda.
Okay. And then public input and recognition of visitors. If you do not have a scheduled item on the agenda this morning, this is a point in time where you may address the Board of Commissioners. So do we have anyone that would like to do that this morning? Okay, moving on. We do have a presentation this morning, I believe, or is it part of our agenda?
Part of the agenda.
Okay, so with that, we'll jump right into the first item, the potential county service district, and I believe this is for Oregon State University Extension Service. Are you going to present that, or Mary?
I can give you copies of the feasibility study.
Okay, and then if you would state your name and position when you.
So I'm Mary Corp, the OSU Regional Administrator. So Umatilla County Extension is one of my counties that I oversee, and I'm also the director of the Columbia Basin Ag Research Center. And so today we're presenting you with idea that we form service districts that would provide funding in support of the extension activities here in Umatilla County, and also some funding for the research and extension activities at the Hermiston Ag Research Center and the Columbia Basin Ag Research Center just outside of Pendleton. So we've met with our citizen advisors over the last couple of years having these discussions, and they believe that the way to have sustainable and strong programs into the future would be to pursue the idea of a service district and the funding related to it. So we're here asking the board to agree to initiate the formation process, I believe is the right way to say it.
Okay, questions, comments?
I believe this is coming to us because a timing matter for one thing, that you are also taking this and gaining approval of it from all the communities involved.
Yeah, part of the formation process is to go to each of the cities and ask them for a resolution approving their inclusion in the district, and then with those approvals, then we would come back to you about forming the district, and then obviously there would be an election, actually a vote of the people on the establishment of a funding tax base for the district. So,
Oregon has, of Oregon's 36 counties, how many have something like this?
yeah, so there's currently 25 out of the 36 counties across the state of Oregon have established service districts for this same purpose.
I don't think everyone probably understands the process. The board does, of course, but I'm going to ask our county council to explain why we go through this process, why it has to come before the board, and the fact that this then proceeds on to the public for a vote, so that citizenry does have a say. Would you cover that a little bit, Doug?
Okay, sure. Under state statutes, there are a couple of methods to form special districts, which one of those is a county service district. And one of those is directly through a petition process through the voters, and the other option is to petition the Board of Commissioners to initiate the formation. And in this case, the request will be before the board at a later date to actually officially start the formation process. To allow for the formation, though, it will require consent of any governmental unit within that area. In this case, the district is proposed to be county-wide, so in that case, all the unincorporated cities would also have to agree to be part of the district for it to be started, the formation. If that does take place, then it'll come back before the board for formal initiation to start the formation. And after a couple of hearings on that, then it can be moved forward to refer it to the voters for an election due to the permanent tax rate. Any new district that proposes a permanent tax rate must be referred to the voters for election.
So that it's understood that the Board of Commissioners doesn't make the decision, we're going to just set up a tax base. We're simply saying, or allowing a petition to move forward to have this done if the voters, if the citizens, people want that.
Right.
Yes.
So, okay, other comments? George?
No, I have previously read this document and been involved with them for 3 or 4 years, so I'm fine.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of BCC 2017-046.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve order BCC
2017
2017-046.
046.
Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Who's presenting the organizational plan, Doug? Are you doing that? Or
No,
Kim
I
is
believe
here.
Ms. Weissenflu's here.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I just start?
Who are you?
Oh, Kim Weisenflu, Program Manager, Community Developmental Disabilities Program.
Okay.
I have submitted a proposal for 4 different things. The first one is to create 2 new service coordinator positions and move program specialists to those positions. So basically, we'd be eliminating 2 program specialist positions to create 2 service coordinator positions. The reason behind that is the cost differential, as you can tell, less than $11,000 a year is not that much compared to the limitations a program specialist has versus a service coordinator. Service coordinators can do billables and cover for caseloads that the program specialist cannot currently do. So I'm forecasting that by the very creation of those positions, we will be able to bring in more than $11,000 a year in billables, in addition to what we currently do. The second one is that we be allowed to continue to pay anywhere from a quarter to a half of the FTE for Melville Lee Carter, the office manager for the juvenile department. In the previous 2 or 3 years, we actually have been paying half the FTE, and she's been supervising one of our staff. We eliminated that position from our budget that was approved, and so now that we know more about, first of all, that we're proposing to move the program specialist to the service coordinator, she no longer will have anybody to supervise. And second of all, I do need her assistance in providing some administrative support to me and our office that cannot be filled by one of our service coordinators or eligibility specialists. And so I'm proposing between a quarter and a half because I would like to do a time study with her after we no longer have a program specialist out front, because I think it's going to be a significant amount of time. So the third one is to remodel the 3 remaining rooms on the bottom floor of what used to be detention. If you guys remember, last year, we remodeled 7 of the 10 rooms on the bottom floor and made them offices. You've got to come see them. They're beautiful. The staff love them. We left 3 of the rooms did not get remodeled. In hindsight, I wish we would have just done it all together, but I'm trying to rectify that situation because we no longer have any office space for one of the program specialists, and if we have anybody else that were to come on, we're limited in office space. So instead of just asking for 1 remodel, we're asking for all 3 of them. And to finish the painting project in the back that started last year when we did the remodel, the 3 offices on the top floor that we use need to just get painted. So that beautiful blue color that is all over the place can be tan. So, and then the last one is I'm asking permission to go out for bids for a full service copy machine. Our copy machine is not meeting our needs, and right now we are using the juvenile departments and paying them a fee for it. So.
Okay. Questions?
No, as you'll see that Kim and I have been together several times on this, and I'm fully aware of what we're doing and fully support it.
Okay, and are we okay as far as our budget?
That was my question, too.
Yes, I believe Robert has nodded positively in that regard. Have you not, Robert?
Yes. Good budgetary position.
Okay?
Okay. All right, other comments? I would be looking for.
I would move, do we have to do one at a time, council, or?
No, you can do it all in one.
Good, I'll move all in one.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the request for all four, moving the program specialist service coordinator and the up to a 0.5, move forward with the remodel, and then get bids for a copy machine. So any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Kim. Okay, the next item is a maintenance plan. And Dan, you're going to present that, and this is in the hopes that we don't get so far behind on our maintenance that it costs us theoretically an arm and leg to keep up with stuff.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Deanne Lanai, Director of Administrative Services. Before you is a 4-year plan for maintenance, laying out what we can do to keep our facilities in good working order and also to preserve them so that we can keep them for a longer period of time and provide a safe working environment and also an area for the public too to be safe. We've listed it by year there as our maintenance guys will trying to prioritize some of the items that are needing repair first, some that will be coming up soon. So the list is before you there. As we know, budget changes, priority changes, things come online. Some of these will probably be shifted around a little bit down the line because that's just the nature of the beast. But as you look through there, there's stuff about replacing roof, HVAC, striping, repairing the cracks that we get in the pavement out here. If we don't repair those, putting that gooey substance in there, water gets in there, it begins to break, then we have big chuck holes, and we have a bigger expense to replace and fix those items. The same if you have a hole in your roof and it's leaking on some of these older roofs, then it destroys the structure inside and we have a larger expense. That's the list before you. I don't know if you want me to go into more detail or have any questions on it.
Questions?
More comment. I can't remember when Dan and Mark, our maintenance supervisor, and I first started talking about this, but oftentimes, of course, most recently with Oregon's transportation plan, but you continue to hear the term infrastructure. You hear it federally, statewide, you hear it locally, the term infrastructure. This is basically what we're talking about. This list is not a glitzy list, and quite frankly, by the time we get done with it, most people would not notice we did it. It's not glitzy, but whenever people are budgeting, the first thing that seems to go is preventive maintenance. And if you don't do what we're proposing, then ultimately you get down the line and all of a sudden you're looking at not only deterioration, but millions of dollars worth of demands and you can't get to them. So a lot of the funding for this, we had a fund that was set aside for capital construction or improvements. As you know, the commissioners made some decisions to go a different way by renovating the facilities in Freewater rather than building, and so we transferred those monies and they formed the base for this. But I applaud Dan and Mark for what they put together, because I think by the time we get to the bottom of this list, we'll have really addressed some major issues.
Fully agree with that. I just want to make sure that by passing this, so we don't lock any of these into that particular order. So if something pops up, we can proceed to take care of them.
This is not the actual budget, so the budget still, everything has to be vetted through the budget committee to do a lot of these items, and priorities a lot of times take place if all of a sudden we lose a roof somewhere because of a disaster or some other unforeseen circumstance. they'll have to be bumped up in priority. So it's mainly to enlighten that this is where we're at, and these are things that we need to do. If we don't, we will have to pay more down the line, and when we can fit those in, let's.
These are on the list so as to not let them slip through the cracks.
Yeah, well.
And create budget.
Well, what happens is a lot of times with entities, public entities like this, it gets so far out of hand that they end up having to propose a bond issue, and we are not wanting to propose a bond issue to have to do major renovations when we could do it on a systematic basis.
And a note here, as commissioners, we have, and Robert, you may have to help me on the numbers. The assets for Umatilla County are up in the hundreds of millions when we look at all of our assets that we own and we're responsible for taking care of. And this is part of the plan to move forward and make sure that we do take care of those assets and we don't let them deteriorate to the point where they have to be replaced. And that happens with a lot of public entities. They do all the other things, but they don't take care of what they have. And it's a good common sense approach to taking care of your stuff. It's simply like not changing the oil in your car and running it until it's out of oil and you ruin the engine, so then you either put a new engine in and it costs more than what it would have if you take care of things. And that's what the Board of Commissioners is obligated to do here. And thank you for bringing that plan forward.
I don't think, what do we have, Dan, 18 facilities?
Hey, we have several, I don't know the actual answer to that.
Well, because they're
a lot of our facilities have multiple buildings at them
Right,
too.
I know.
So.
But I don't think people, when people think of the courthouse and perhaps Stafford Hansel, they don't realize there's about 15 or 16 other facilities around, not the least of which is the public safety complex.
That's true. So,
Mr.
with that,
Chair, I move approval.
Second?
it's been moved and approved to move forward with the maintenance plan for our county facilities. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Dan, you have the next two, I believe.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioners, for passing that. Next on the list is a postage machine. Currently, the mailroom downstairs in the courthouse does most of the postage for the county, and we have a big machine down there that meters the mail and seals it. Was on a 5-year lease, and that lease expired earlier this year. We're paying over $500 a month to continue with that lease and maintenance and other licensing fees, when we could actually be either leasing a new one for $400 and some a month or purchasing a new machine. And so that's why we're here before you today. If we went and continued using the old machine that's breaking down and harder to fix, and it's causing some problems of not putting postage on all the envelopes, and we're getting some of those back, or my staff will spend an extra 30 minutes to an hour because the machine isn't working properly, trying to finagle it to get it to work. We could also move forwards by renewing a new lease for a new machine, and we would save, from the estimates I got, about $4,000 over 5 years. Or if we went outright and purchased one and paid for the maintenance and the licensing, we would save about $8,800 from the estimates I have. Before you, with the Pinky, we're requesting to go out for RFP to see what the cost would be to officially purchase a new machine and or lease a machine. They run about $15,000 when these machines do. So it's above the $10,000 that requires us to go out for RFP.
Questions? I would entertain a motion for that RFP.
So move.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. We allow our admin services go out for an RFP for a postage machine, whether to rent or purchase. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, the next one is the roof payable, Palmer payable.
As you as we alluded to earlier, Commissioners, we've been working on the remodeling and the buildings in Melton Free Water and improving those, replacing the roofs. The roof on the A&D, which we're now calling the Broadway building because the sheriff's in there and veterans are in there too, and community corrections. From now on, we're referring to that as the Broadway building. Well, the Broadway building, we went out for RFP to replace the roof, and we did a two-part, Part A and Part B. $16,000 was to replace the roof, and $10,000 was to replace the awning that goes around, which had shake shingles on it, which is a fire hazard and deteriorating. We were planning to replace that outside ourselves if time, if we had time to do it, our maintenance staff. When we told the contractor to go ahead and replace the roof, they thought that meant also replace the awning. And when we showed up, when I came by to look at the building and see how it was done, we had a new awning on the outside of the building, two all the way around, which we requested in the bid, but when we told them to replace the roof, there was a mix-up on communication. End result, it is $10,500 more than we were anticipating to pay. It's still the lowest bidder with the total cost they were, because that my staff is now spending a lot more time moving, right now trying to help the fair out and get things going over there with their time crunch. It benefits me by freeing them up some too, though. But the payable is more than we anticipated because of that.
Well, plus, we put pretty heavy demands on that maintenance.
We have this
At a time when
summer, yes.
they've been pulled in a lot of different directions, and we put heavy demands on them to do this work in Melton Free Water, which saved us a lot of money. So I would move for to go ahead with the payable.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this payable. One question just on the roof itself, Dan. Was the flat part of that a membrane?
Yeah.
Okay, but just the awning was the metal?
Awning, yeah, so it's now a metal awning. It's been, I don't know if you've driven by it.
I have, but to be honest, I didn't look up to see what it looked like.
It looks quite nice now that we've replaced that shake roof that was deteriorating. It was looking pretty bad and stuff, so it does look quite a bit nicer now.
Good.
I'm wondering.
And that should be basically, since it's a metal roof, it's a lifetime, so we shouldn't have to,
Do
in our
anything.
foreseeable future, do anything with that.
I'm just kind of wondering how we notify people. You know, this is, I think, the second one that's come before us here in recent time where the contractor went above and beyond, did more things than he was really supposed to do, or billed us back for more money than the bid was let for. Is there a process, or are you looking at all at a procedure for written authorization to a contractor to do the work rather than just something over the telephone?
They are supposed to be signed. Most contractors actually provide a proposal that we sign and give to them. I don't believe this one.
Yes, it was. There was a signed contract for the one portion.
Yes.
For the one portion, not the second?
And I'm pretty sure that's what we gave to them. So.
I understand it's work we would have been doing ourselves anyway and would have incurred costs for, but probably not near as much cost as what this one has amounted to. Is that a correct assumption?
We would have been able to do it for, since the labors are ours, probably about half the cost, because half it would have been. So the $10,000, it would have cost us about $5,000 at least to do what they did for $10,000 because of the materials. But we still have our labor involved and demolition and stuff on that too.
And our maintenance people have been really
Busy.
pulled and swamped and
Yeah,
busy.
I
And
understand that.
I think
Yeah,
what
that's the offset. They would have been doing we would have spent $5,000 somewhere else.
I think Commissioner Alfred, I'll try and paraphrase, correct me if I'm wrong, that in the future, make sure when we have a signed contract that a contractor isn't misunderstood in what we want them to do and what they've signed. So,
Well put.
okay, we do have a motion. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I will add that the chamber, and when we get all the improvements made in Milton Freewater, both the chamber and the Valley Herald are very anxious for us to have an open house because they're pretty excited about what we've done in Milton Freewater.
Good.
Because sometimes we forget Milton Freewater, and this is I think a real enhancement to our services there.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners.
All right. Next item, update on the ambulance service area.
Okay, as the board may recall, back in 2014, I believe, the ambulance franchises were renewed. At that time, the Athena Weston area was served by the East Umatilla County Health District. Since then, the district has been dissolved, and there's now the new East Umatilla County Ambulance Area Health District serving that area. So what this is before the board is actually formally approve the franchise to the new district and replace it with the old district. So, and this will be through the end of 2017.
Questions? I would entertain a motion then
Move the
to,
adoption of order number BCC 2017-044.
Second?
been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number BCC 2017-044. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. The next item is a public hearing, and this is the ambulance service plan update. With that, I will open this hearing for this update and for a first reading to take action and set a date for a second reading. This time, I'll ask for the staff report.
Okay. This is coming before the board for approval of the update to the ambulance service ordinance. The advisory committee has been reviewing it to see if they needed any updates and also to bring it into compliance with what the state regulations are requiring. And so the committee has been reviewing it for about a year now, I believe. And now they've recommended these changes and they're before the board for the first reading.
Okay, questions on the staff report? Okay, at this point in time, comments from the public on this. Do we have anybody from the public that wants to speak in favor? Anyone that wants to speak opposing these? Okay, I am going to close.
Keep looking at our fire chief, wondering if that's what he's interested in. Okay.
Mike, any comments?
Sure. I couldn't imagine. While you're coming up, Mike, I might give an aside. I was conducting a workshop for the school board in LeGrand on Friday night. One of the board members said, my nephew just went to work for the Pendleton Fire Department, had 3 choices, absolutely loves working for the Pendleton Fire Department.
That's nice
His
to hear.
name might be Perry, but I'm not sure.
Jeff Perry.
Jeff
Yeah,
Perry.
Fantastic young man, been a great addition to the department. Just had a brand new baby, by the way, so.
Well, you were quite the discussion this weekend then. My nephew had quite a discussion about you and being in Pendleton.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Well, it's just exciting to go out to LeGrand and hear all those compliments.
Yeah, thank you.
it
Mr.
was all
Chairman,
good.
Commissioner, Mike Sorella for the record, Fire Chief, City of Pendleton Fire Department, also Chair of the Ambulance Committee. Just like to urge your consideration, and we were unanimous in our work on this, and all the recommended changes will, we believe, enhance service to the citizens of Umatilla County and all the cities provided. So we look forward to the application process coming up in the near future, and thank you for your time.
Mike, thank you.
for coming.
Okay, any other comments?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
For the record, Tom Roberts, Umatilla County Emergency Manager and also the Administrator of the Ambulance Service Area Plan. I wanted to point out just a couple of key items in the first reading of importance for you to know. Several of the items have already been in front of you that are addressed in this plan and approved. However, in there we do address a new addition for first right of refusal options for the ASA franchises when it comes to transporting persons in a non-emergent capacity, like say from one hospital to another. The other thing that of importance that you'll want to note is that we have increased the plan duration from 3 years to 5 years. And the reason for that is predominantly so that we can put this plan in a master planning cycle that is in line with our emergency operations plan and all of our other plans, so we're not having to review this and while we're reviewing some other major plan and getting everything all confused, we can kind of line those dates up. So I just wanted to point those out to you for the first reading, and we'll be making any recommended changes that come from this reading and addressing those, and then we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Doug, I just real quickly have one clerical error. It's on that second one where you have the second whereas ambulance service ordinance was adopted pursuant to yada yada in the Umatilla County Home Rule Charter.
Oh, rather than chapter, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
And that would be the only thing going forward to the second reading, right?
At this point, I think the format may look a little different because the state wants it in a different format, but yeah, for the second reading.
But there are no questions.
Will does the format show what the changes are in the text?
No, they do not.
You want me to address that, Commissioners? Just to be very specific, the state administrative rule 333-0020, I think it is, section 2, just requires us to have it in a very specific order, but I don't believe there will be a whole lot of language change, and so that's what the ASA committee approved was the language. Now what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'll just put the puzzle together, if you will, and it'll just change the order is all.
Okay.
So.
I think that's why they're here.
Okay, other comments? Okay, I'm going to close this portion of the public hearing, and we'll move to deliberations at this point in time.
So we need to set a date for the second hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
And is it anticipated to be August the 2nd?
I believe so. Yes, that'll work.
Okay, we need to set a time also.
At 9 a.m.? August 2, 9 a.m.?
Need a motion?
Yes.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we set the public hearing for the second reading of this proposed ordinance for August the 2nd at 9 a.m., and that is a Wednesday. So,
Regular meeting day.
our regular meeting, that's correct. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right.
Can we go to 16?
We're going to skip down real quickly to a Lifeways item number 16. We're changing the order real quickly. It's the Lifeways grant payable.
I'm thinking that Carol and Rick are here for that. Is that correct?
No, we're here certainly to listen.
For that item?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, despite our scintillating agenda, I'm sure.
This matter comes to us as on a referral out of the Economic Development Grants Committee, who granted $10,000 to Lifeways for assisting in the construction of their new facility in Hermiston, which will also hire new people. It is an economic development thing, and it came to us, and the committee felt that it was a good place to spend some money.
Okay, comments? Carol, Rick, anything you want to add?
Sure.
Rick George, Director at Lifeways. Yeah, the 16-bed psychiatric facility is being built by WC Construction. Pinnacle Architecture helped us to put that together. We expect to open in November if everything continues to go right, but you know how things can go. They can go wrong in construction. I think the unique things about this that make it a very compelling and worthwhile venture is that we expect about 45 jobs out of this for the community. We also know that a psychiatric hospital like this doesn't exist anywhere in this region, and there's a great need for folks who have a high acuity and mental health issues to be treated. And we know from research that having them treated close to home is ideal so that family can engage with them and that replacement back into the community where necessary can happen. So it's a great opportunity for our county, both economically and to serve the public.
This will prevent having to send people to, to the facility in John Day.
It won't actually prevent it, but it will probably impact having people be able to come, not have to travel so far, the transport issue. We still may have to, depending on need and those kind of things. One piece I would add, too, is we are also getting a certificate of need to serve the Medicare population, so we'll be able to serve the older population and those who are on the Medicare system, which is also going to be a huge advantage, which no one around has. So,
Okay. Acceptance by the community is fairly high.
yes, it is. There will be some public hearings coming up around the certificate of need. We expect that to happen in the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks or so.
Okay.
I assume you're going to.
I would move approval of the economic development grant payable of $10,000 to Lifeways.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. We do the payable, approve that payable to Lifeways, $10,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Great. Hey,
Rick, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's jump back up then to item number 8, the commendation part of our agenda. Who has that this morning?
Commissioner Murdoch went to.
Okay.
If you have the copy. Some of you are aware that some young people in Ukiah, through their quick action, very likely saved lives, certainly precluded serious injury. So it's my pleasure to read this commendation, which I will read in full. The matter of the commendation from members of the Youth Conservation Crew's response to a house fire. Whereas the United States Youth Conservation Corps, YCC, is a summer youth employment program that engages young people ages 15 through 18 years of age in meaningful work experience on national parks, forests, and wildlife refuges. Whereas on July 6, 2017, a YCC crew with the North Fork John Day Watershed Council were in Ukiah assisting at the Ukiah School when they spotted a fire coming from a nearby home. Whereas upon immediate investigation, the 6 young people discovered the porch of the house was on fire and were able to put out the fire. And whereas those in the house, the babysitter and the young daughter of the occupant, were unharmed from the fire. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners orders that because of the quick action and response of the crew, harm to any occupants was avoided and minimal damage to the house occurred. And Ben Combs, Austin Kendall, Tobias Neal, Quentin Orr, Kai Robertson, and Colton Chalk are commended for their help and assistance dated this 19th day of July, 2017. And I might add, before I make the motion for adoption, that the same crew of young men were involved at a later point, about within the next week, of helping secure a site where a motorcyclist had been injured. So not only within the course of a very short time did they, I think, save lives through their quick action, they also were on the spot to help with an injured motorcyclist. So I admire their work. Just for your reference, Quentin Orr, I happen to know because he's the son of Teddy Orr from our weed department and the grandson of Mayor Barber. So there we are. I move for adoption of BCC 2017-045.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt order number BCC 2017-045, the commendation to this crew, these young people, for their help and assistance in both of these incidents. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
In case we're going to send this to them, that might be North Fork, John Day.
No.
Okay.
Okay, the next item, we have our pretty much standard. It's a burn ban for Umatilla County, and I have to say, we're one of the last ones to do that this year. Usually we're first, but this year, everyone else jumped in and have set theirs ahead of it. So, Gina?
Good morning, Commissioners. Gina Miller, Umatilla County Code Enforcement and Staff Liaison to the Smoke Management Committee. And yes, Commissioner Givens, you are correct. The other jurisdictions of significant size in Umatilla County have already enacted their burn ban. The CTUIR tribe went into effect on June 26th, the City of Pendleton on June 5th, and the Umatilla County Fire District Number 1 went in on June 1st. So this is something that we do every year. Basically, this is a non-agricultural burn ban. It reduces the amount of smoke particles being impacted into the air by just the residential burn barrels and yard debris and that type of thing. At this time, it does not impact any of the agricultural burning that is usually requisite for normal agricultural processes. So all we're asking today is to enact this. Typically, we lift it in late September, early October.
Okay, I would add to that, Gina, too, that quite often this time of the year we will see a red flag warning that will be posted. So generally that, we hope, not always, but we hope that stops people from setting fires in their burn barrels or burning brush or whatever, regardless whether it's a residential or whether it's ag. But
one thing we've also, if I might address that, we've, in collaboration with Tom Roberts and Emergency Management, we have utilized the Alert Sense program for burning information. And in the event of a emergency change from a burn day to a non-burn day status, if the National Weather Service and NOAA releases a red flag warning or, fire hazardous weather occurs immediately, is that we have got probably almost half of the people who are permit holders for agricultural permits on the Alert Sense program, and we can send out an emergency text to them to notify them of the emergency change. And we hope to next year get all of them that have, smartphones that can receive and send text alerts. And Tom is aware of this, but just yesterday we met with the Forest Service and with the fire co-op group met, and we're trying to put together, or they're trying to put together some better protocol to address emergency situations. And this was really instigated and being promoted because of the upcoming eclipse issues that we could be facing in all of Oregon, but especially here in Umatilla County and the surrounding area. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of city folk up there that really don't know what woodcraft is and doing their part to put fires out.
That's correct. So I would
I assume that that's partly based on the fact there's a whole lot of people going to be camping on places that aren't regular camp spots.
Yes. So I would encourage you guys to work really close together, especially with Forest Service and with ODOT. We will be asking ODOT, or I will contact ODOT and see about, through NEAC, reader board signs that give people warnings on fire issues and other hazards during that time. So, okay, I would
Move adoption of order number BCC 2017-043.
Second.
been moved and seconded that we adopt 2017-043 All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So as of today, we are in a burn ban.
I will be doing a press release immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Vehicle purchase?
Commissioners, Dale Primer, Umatilla County Community Justice. I think I've got 3 issues today, or I only see 2 on the agenda, but so this one is kind of tied to the one that I don't see on the agenda, which relates to new position creations on the justice reinvestment side of things. So
That'll be on next agenda. That's the next, that didn't make it in time.
okay, well, the only reason why I brought that up, Jennifer emailed me yesterday and thought it was today. So anyway. Bottom line is we're going to be expanding in staff as it relates to the justice reinvestment piece. Also doing some restructure within the department that is going to cause a lot more commuting for one individual between the Hermiston and Pinellas office. So the vehicle that I currently use is going to transfer to that individual, leaving an opening to fill the needs of my travel. What I'd like to go out to bid for, doing 2 things. I'm asking the Sheriff's Office to see what we can get on the state contract, as well as going out to local bid on a small SUV, thinking something similar to the Equinoxes that you folks use, something all-wheel drive that meet the needs of the travel up and down the gorge that I seem to do nonstop, as well as a little more space for luggage and things like that for all the travel that comes along with many of the meetings that people in my department are attached to. So at this point, we're requesting to go out for bid.
Okay. Questions?
Well, that was going to be my question. He answered about whether we get sedans or SUVs, and I'm assuming that we get the sedans primarily for in-county, but if there's a lot of out-of-county travel to different parts
I
of
can
the
tell
state.
you in my fusion, if both the deputy director and I both go into a meeting together, we've got suitcases in the back seat, we've got suitcases in the trunk, and you throw a couple laptops on top of it, and it's tight quarters.
And for the safety
Is that
of it
based
as
on
well.
vanity or need for all that luggage?
Not everybody can look as good as I do half the time, but you can leave that off the notes. I was just
I feel it's important from a safety standpoint that.
I mean,
obtained.
and for some things, it's just more practical. But like I said, I'm not looking for the biggest, beefiest expedition or that kind of thing. I'm looking for, seeing what the options are. The downside about going to a state contract is you get one brand, one model. State contract is Ford Explorer. I don't think even on the state contract that Ford Explorer is the most expensive or economical way to go. I don't need to put a cage in it. I don't need to transport people. I don't need to do all those different things. I think an Equinox, similar to what you guys use, would probably fit my needs just fine and probably close to half the price.
I think we use both an Equinox and an Escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have the Explorer, so.
Commissioner, I'd just like to clear up, actually on a state contract, you're working, you can pretty much buy what you want. They have everything covered on the state.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how that works. I got a hold of the sheriff's office, and maybe part of the state contract relates to simply.
There's a difference between what the sheriff is looking through. There's state contract work, you go through Orphan. If you go through Orphan has
I'll have Tammy
almost everything.
get a hold of you folks, and we can see what our options are.
But also, I would encourage local participation.
Well, that's in the past, I've stood before you with bids that have been solely based on the state contract, and most of the time those have come out of Gresham is where they've come from. So understanding that's how you feel, that's why we're doing all the local stuff as well.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Post-PERS employment.
So my second thing is I have an employee named Patty Wynn. If you guys are familiar with the POs in the Hermiston office, Patty began her employment with Umatilla County right as community corrections transferred over from the state of Oregon to the county in 1996, I believe, is when those folks came in. Patty would actually like to retire one of these days and has asked that her retirement become effective August 1st, do the 1,039 per work back per calendar year to end in July of 2018. We've done this once prior in my department with a previous employee. I think it works well for us. It saves county money. It provides continued service with an experienced PO, and it saves money again. So I think it's a good deal, and it will help facilitate Patty in her retirement. Been a good employee, happy to have her, but happy to also see her have the opportunity to retire.
So on a post-PERS, at the retirement, we have to cash out benefits at that point?
That's it.
When you,
Meant to bring that up too.
I believe so.
So the question, yeah, she actually posed that question to me yesterday, because what I see written up here is that,
That would be a Jennifer, I don't know.
yeah, the vacation and sick leave accruals would remain the same, and that is different than what we had done on the last time. The last time we had done it, the person continued to receive medical benefits and those sorts of things, but I believe the vacation was cashed out, and then any absences or vacation time was just time without pay.
And in that event, do you have an idea what that cost would be?
I don't know the hourly wage right off the top of my head. I want to think it's like
I mean,
33.
from cashing out benefits, vacation pay.
Knowing Patty, my guess is Patty is sitting right there on the max. She doesn't burn a lot of time. Usually she takes 1 week every summer to stay at home with her grandkids. Beyond that, she's not one of your employees that's burning an hour here, 2 hours there, nickel and dime and those things. You have a harder time keeping her away from work when she's not supposed to be at work after a surgery or something. But my guess is, Bill, she's probably sitting right at the cap of 240. Her preference is to not cash it out, to leave it there and to have it for utilization between now and the July 15th. Just so you know, that's her request, is she would like it not to be cashed out.
Yeah, I would suggest that you get with personnel.
And just work out the details of that.
Jennifer, and get that worked out.
Yeah.
I've sent her a message to see if she's available, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay, with that?
I would move approval conceptually of the proposal.
Okay,
Second?
this is a motion and second for the post-PERS employment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Is the fact that we've postponed the other item till the next meeting, does that impact us anything on hiring or program
Yes.
delivery?
Not on program delivery, it doesn't. It would delay the posting of it, but quite frankly, I'm front-loading the Justice Reinvestment Grant. We're just finishing up the details of that now. In fact, I should have the last narrative done today that will go to the LIPSIC coordinator, who will ultimately put the grant out. But the commission, the Criminal Justice Commission, isn't going to vote on these things until October. But the programs that I'm asking for are existing programs. The PO vacancy is one that we incurred through the resignation of Jeff Brown earlier in the year that transitioned over to the sheriff's office. I elected to not fill that until the budget picture became more clear. So budget numbers are in. I also have a PO supervisor position open in Hermiston that we have posted for internally. We're conducting those interviews tomorrow. We intend to do an internal promotion from within. That's going to cause a PO opening. So it's not going to significantly delay the justice reinvestment component. It might, it might shift or move the start date of when the promotion for the supervisor ultimately becomes effective, but operationally, it's, whether we handle it this week or next isn't
Okay,
going to.
I don't sense a look of alarm. Okay, that's fine.
Nope.
Okay, with that,
Thank
We'll
you.
work with HR on the other details of the rest then. Thank you all.
thank you. We did a vote and approve that?
Yes.
Okay. The next item is the Water Master's Office transition. Doug, where do we stand with?
Okay, the state of Oregon has proposed 2 agreements related to the transition of the employees to the state of Oregon. The 2 agreements, the first one relates to the stopgap situation regarding the Bureau of Reclamation grant. The state will be taking over that and signing the agreement directly with the Bureau, but has not actually accomplished that yet. So they're requesting the county to allow the current situation to remain, that the county will receive the funds, then pay it on to the state for the employees. They anticipate this to be a short term. The contract itself would only go through September, and it could be earlier terminated if the contract is signed with the Bureau.
And that, of course, we're getting the money from the Bureau, so it's just passed.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second one has to do with the funding for 2017-18. It has been budgeted to $100,000 be paid to the state for to cover some of the payroll expenses. And as the agreement is in its current form, is to make clear that the funding would be paid to the assistant water master to perform services in the Umatilla Basin, particularly the Walla Walla sub-basin. And then also proposed change to that is rather than $100,000, there'd be a offset for a payable for the leave accruals that have been paid to the state separately, will be paid to the state separately for the other 2 employees. So that the proposed amount would only be $66,100.20. And that is the way that I revised the agreement to.
Okay. Have we heard back from the state on that?
I have let them know. They had some questions about why, and I explained to them the reasoning. I have not heard anything further.
Okay.
And also let it be known that there was additional appropriation provided to this office by the state of Oregon with the understanding that we are cutting our support back. So for anyone who may wonder about that, there is other funding that they are receiving. My question on the BOR contract, that 1-month deal, is this funding that we can just merely pass on to the OWRD office here, or is it paid to the employees? How
It would be paid to the department.
to the department? So we don't have to worry about that gap in
Right, yeah.
employment?
No,
Okay.
no, they are state employees as of July 1.
Okay, any other questions?
I would move approval.
Same.
Been moved second for approval, and we're waiting on hearing back then on
Right,
that.
I do have the one agreement ready for the chair to sign, I believe it's just the chair, for the funding.
Okay. All those, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And then the second part of this is the payable to the state of Oregon for the $33,899.80. This is to pay for the leave accruals for basically the 4 employees, but is actually, the bulk of it is only for 2 of them.
The third one would have been BOR, right?
Those, basically the bulk of it is the BOR.
Oh, okay, all right.
And it was anticipated that maybe this could be billed to the Bureau, and they refused to pay it out of their grant.
Okay.
So there's no other place to pay for it, so it's coming out of the $100,000 that's been budgeted.
Do we require another motion?
Yes, for the payable.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for the second payable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. Painting payable.
This is coming before the board because of the dollar amount. This is for painting that occurred over at the Milton Free Water building. It's just over the $5,000 limit, so it was referred to the board by finance. It's $6,069 payable to A Sharp Painting.
1,069 over the limit. Okay.
Move approval.
Second?
Been moved and seconded that we approve that painting payable for the Milton Free Water building. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, the next item, the CIS trust payable.
This is also payable coming before the board due to the dollar amount. It's $6,294.31 to CIS Trust. This represents the claim deductible on an employment claim that came through that CIS defended and settled, and this is the deductible portion.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Approval.
Can you?
Amount of $6,294.
Is there no conflict?
No conflict.
All right, second.
Been moved and seconded that we pay the CIS trust payable.
Contractual.
Contractual. Okay. Anyway, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. The EOCA payable, that's the Eastern Oregon County Association. This is our yearly dues to
Some of
them. And it's gone down a little bit, so.
I know, but we had a debate on that,
Yes.
and as a result of that debate, I'd move we pay it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we pay our annual dues to EOCA. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, the Lifeways, we've done that one. The linear, say that, Tom, linear? Linear. Okay. I didn't know it was called linear.
Because the way that it goes in a line, because the way it operates.
Goes down a row of gravel, right?
I thought it was road crusher, but anyway. The request for proposals.
Looks like that.
Yeah. You keep that picture and listen when he explains
Fellows, but
why.
How it works.
Can you scroll it down a little bit, Melinda?
Scroll down
There's
the
a
page a little
small
bit.
picture there.
Oh, yeah, that's a better one.
It's even clearer.
God.
As you well know, that with the passage of the state transportation package, it's required the Public Works to look at our program and make some changes moving forward. The emphasis is on paved roads with the new money, and primarily with rehabilitation as well as preservation. So this is a machine that we've looked at for quite some time. We actually demonstrated it last year, and we feel that this would be given the requirements with the new funding, this would be a really good addition to our program, something that we could both utilize on gravel roads and to do full depth reclamation of paved roads. So we're just requesting permission to go out for RFP to look at possibly purchasing.
Melinda, if you would go back to that picture. I went out it was Lincoln Mountain Road and Kinnear Road up in our foothills when they demonstrated that. They grade up a berm, as you see in the front of that, and then that machine runs that berm through it, just goes down the road, runs that berm through it, and you have I'll use the term windrow for lack of a better one right now, a windrow that comes out behind it, that all they have to do is take the grader and spread it out, and you've got crushed gravel. You've eliminated hauling rock and gravel by truck. You do it right there on the road, and it makes a really good base. And man, there were some boulders that went through that thing that were huge.
That particular machine will take up to an 18-inch rock and make 3/4 minus out of it.
Wow.
In one pass.
And one of the reasons for moving forward, that hooks onto the front end of a loader, attaches to like a Cat 966 loader or
950 is what.
950. But that unit, you can see the engine on the top front end of that unit. And because of new EPA standards, that unit's engine has to be upgraded, and it's an extra
$37,000 is what, after August, it's going to go up $37,000 just because of the engine changes.
And because of
And-
EPA standards.
And the delivery time will go from 3 to 6 months up to a year, because the John Deere won't guarantee delivery of those motors.
So this is grandfathered in?
Yes, if we get the RFP done and we decide to move forward with this particular machine, then yes, what would happen is we would be in and we would get the Tier 3 motor. And in fact, I've talked to the company and they have one that's actually in production right now. We could actually see it delivery in 6 to 8 weeks. So.
And in addition to that, the knives in that piece of equipment can be changed, and they can also use it to grind asphalt.
Full depth reclamation of asphalt. So it's quite a unit. It does a number of things. It'll bring a lot to the county. Our estimation is we're probably going to see it used up to 50% of the time on paved road reclamation. So.
How long do you think it'll take to pay for itself?
There's a county up in Montana, I can't remember the name of the county, but they purchased the exact machine a year ago, and they've already realized a 50% return on investment in 1 year.
So 2 years to 3 years, it can pay for itself.
Yeah, it strictly depends on the amount of time that you can put on the machine. I mean, obviously,
Right.
the more time you're able to utilize it. But yes, there's a county up in Washington. They actually rent one on an annual basis, which rent is extremely high on them, and they've shown that they've reduced their rock production, annual rock production for stockpile use between 25 and 30%.
So we save
So those are
man hours on a crusher in a pit. We save transportation dollars by having to haul.
It's not going to replace our rock crusher.
No.
We're still going to have that, but what this will do is this will just be another tool that will certainly bring some efficiency to the program.
I move approval of the authorization, approve the request for proposals.
Second, I have a question. Has the governor signed that?
I am not sure of that. I've had the conversation with Commissioner Givens and with Robert also. Currently, the road department actually has funding. We would have to move some money around, but with or without the transportation package, we could fund the purchase of a machine like this, and it's still going to bring some efficiency to our program. It's not like it's going to be money that's going to be wasted in any way, shape, or form.
I wasn't suggesting that. I thought it was tied to the transportation package.
The purchase of this?
Yeah.
No, that's not our intent. We want to move forward regardless of
I
the transportation
misunderstood
package.
that. Okay.
I was simply pointing out the fact that with the passage of the transportation package, if it is signed, this will be an important tool to fulfilling the intent of the legislators of what they passed for that funding. So
Okay.
I'm sorry if I misunderstood that.
Yeah, I tied the two together, but.
Okay, other questions? Was that a motion, Bill?
It was.
Did you
And a
second?
second.
Okay, we've had a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Thank you. The next one is the road transfer. And I'm assuming you wouldn't be opposed to this.
You're going to have to drag me kicking and screaming.
Okay. Do you have that, or Doug, do you have it?
I don't have.
Well, basically, there's some developing that's occurring in the city of Hermiston along West Highland Street, and there will be some further improvements to that road. There already have been in the past, so the city of Hermiston is willing to take over approximately a 3-block stretch of West Highland extension.
A little over 2,000 feet.
And they've agreed to do it, and the agreement is before the board for approval. The actual transfer hearing would be scheduled at a later date,
Is this from 11th to the river?
to the 15th.
No, just to 15th from 11, from the state highway there at the stoplight to 15th where the trailer park is.
Okay.
So it's just a little over 2,000 feet.
Don't they want to take the rest of it onto the river?
Well, we'll hope for that in the future.
Yes.
And then going east, if they could include all of it clear out to Ott Road.
There we go.
That would be nice too. But anyway, so I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Where does the money for Ott Road go? The paving money? Does it come directly to the county?
I'm not sure about that. That was, Senator Smith actually added that as an earmark, so I'm not sure how that's going to funnel.
I believe the wording of it indicated it would come direct to the county.
And not through the port?
Oh,
No,
no.
not to the port.
Yeah, I don't think it would go through the port. There would be no need for that.
Because in all indications, it was to Umatilla County,
Yes.
but specified for Ott and
Airport.
Road.
I do have one question, and it was brought up earlier on when you were discussing the Water Master transition. Currently, the Water Master stores equipment and things out at the road department. Are we still obligated to provide them storage at no charge, or what's happening with that?
There was never been any discussion on that. They're no longer a county agency, so.
I guess that's the question. What do we do? We could certainly use the space, but I don't.
You know, if that's the case, then if they want to use county facilities, they better figure out what to do. Are the state vehicles out there also that they use?
No, they don't leave any state vehicles or anything out there, but they do have one big part of our storage shed out on the end of our pickup shed, which is just a big room that they use for storage and have for years. And I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but when you were having the discussion, it just popped into my head that, I mean, we're providing them storage space. And
Since they're no longer a county, part of the county, aren't we obligated then to either ask them to vacate or start charging them for that space?
That's doable. I guess the other question is what equipment. I mean, some of that equipment may be county owned.
Well, that I don't know.
So we retain it, so they would have to find out for sure what's in there.
Well, they weren't a county agency before, were they?
But that might have been county equipment in there.
No, I mean, they were
I
a
see what
state
you're saying.
agency
Yeah.
before.
But we weren't receiving any compensation for that.
I know. I mean,
But two of their vehicles were county vehicles.
Yeah, but that's been transferred. I believe those have been transferred now, haven't?
Yes, the two pickups have been transferred to the
I
state,
guess
yes.
the question is, what's changing here? We're changing our relationship with them and how we fund them, but the property has been OWRD and still is OWRD, so how has that changed legally?
Actually, it was not, Bill. The pickups were county.
Well, I know that, but that's not what they're storing there.
Yeah, it depends on what they're storing there. If it was,
Okay. Robert?
Well, I guess to clarify how the situation has changed is Watermaster was both a state agency and a county department for years and years and years. So being a county department, I'm really not quite sure how they got away with storing stuff at the road department, but it makes more sense than a state agency. And so now that they will no longer be a county department, they'll just be a recipient of some funding from us. And I believe that changes the nature of our relationship. Because the vehicles were all actually county purchased vehicles. 2 of them were purchased with DOR funding, but most of their equipment was probably purchased with county funding. Whether or not the title of transfers to the state or not, I don't know.
Could we find out the legality and what the equipment
What it
is?
is.
I think what the equipment is might be the.
Yeah, I don't know that we want to rush out. I mean, if there might be some rush out and do something till we find out what the equipment is and what they're storing.
Well, I guess the other part of that is where road department and state highway funds do all the maintenance on all of the work out on those facilities, and somebody else is storing things there. I mean, I think from a practical standpoint, they either need to pony up or move out.
Right. Yeah, it shouldn't be, those funds can't be used for that.
So it was just a question I had when
I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you.
Well, on that same subject of storing stuff for people, do we still have the bus?
Yeah, it's still over in Milton Freewater in the yard, and I can't, and nobody's told me we could dispose of it yet. I've had the conversations with our district attorney, and he kind of says, well, it's ours, and I don't know exactly.
And we've
how.
attempted to contact the owners and haven't been very successful.
But I mean,
You were supposed to get the VIN number though for me, so I could track down that.
Okay, I can have.
the accident did not occur on a county road.
No.
So I can't for the life of me fathom why we have it.
Well, I thought the district attorney wanted to maintain it for court purposes.
So it's because of the district attorney?
Yeah, I think so.
And we were trying to get storage costs from the company. It had to be stored in a secure place. Our district attorney was considering filing charges, whatever those would have been, against the bus company over the death and injury to those people because it happened in Umatilla County. And as a result, those didn't get filed, or they couldn't file them, or they chose not to. So now we're trying to get rid of a bus that is not needing to be held for evidence for court. And
So all those have been settled?
I don't know if they have or not, but
It seemed like there might be one that was still pending.
I would think there's got to be some time period where you didn't return your calls, you haven't contacted us about your bus. We are now confiscating the bus. It's ours.
That's why we need to find out who the owner is, and once we do that, then we can send the notices. That's what
Can't
we
we
need.
formally contact the district attorney?
He has said, yeah, he no longer, he said, do whatever you want
He
with
doesn't
it.
care.
He does
Okay.
not care.
So
let's find out the
Can you-
owner is,
I'll
give
give
them
the
notice,
VIN number to
get
Doug
rid of
and-
it.
can you just pull it out of that shed and leave it out?
Oh, it's out. Yeah, we
It's
did
out.
that a long time ago. We needed the space, and I wasn't gonna give up the space any longer.
The watermaster need a bus.
It's pulled out there next in the yard. It's still inside of the
Might
fenced
have made a
area,
good
but
command
it's
vehicle.
but it's no
Command
longer-
vehicle.
Yes.
My other question is, if we acquire the bus, which I suspect we will, it's only good for salvage. Are there any parts, pieces, wheels?
There's nothing on it that's worth anything to us at all.
Okay.
We've already kind of looked
Looked
at
at
over as a possibility, and I would venture to guess the motor isn't even any good, so.
Yeah. After it went end over end and rolled several times.
I just think
I thought maybe the wheels might
be well to move forward and do something with it.
Good candidate for a crusher.
Maybe I could use it as trading stock.
There you go.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Tom. Okay, let's move on. Do we need an executive session? Okay, let's move to commissioners' reports. I will leave here shortly and go and get ready for my trip. You've got to leave and go to Portland.
Leaving this afternoon.
And so with that, I'm going to put you in charge while we're gone. Although you can't spend money, you can only.
Oh, you have no idea what I do when you're gone.
That's what worries me.
I would, prior to your departure, since we're at a critical juncture, like to know where we are with the fair, because
Okay.
we got stuck with two decisions last time, and I would be interested in knowing what might be coming down the road
Okay.
in the next,
The-
the incoming days.
The fair, that cop shop has been moved. I don't know where they are for setting it up. It was jacked up and I saw pictures of it on a trailer. I'm assuming it's setting up there ready to be
Occupied.
started and- Pardon?
Ready for occupancy.
I
As
doubt
soon as they
it's-
get some steps to it,
Right.
railings.
Yeah. The money end of it and the sponsorship, you've been working with Cindy on that,
She gave me a list finally.
okay?
Nice to get. I have not seen a lot of those funds, but I would say I'm not as closely related to receivables and all, so I'll take some look. See what we got.
Okay. Anything else as far as logistics for the marketing, the money, where we're at now with sponsorships?
It'll be interesting to see, what actually comes in. And certainly have a list, and that looks promising. I hope we get all that money.
We have quite a little bit more in the receiving column than in the past. We just haven't received it yet.
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know the lights have been installed at the rodeo grounds.
Yes.
And they have been on the last few nights. I'm sure they're out there working overtime, getting things ready.
Working in the dark.
Yep.
Our fair board is really busily trying to work on the grounds. They're keeping things mowed. They're using the fair stuff for doing the mowing of the grass and leveling some areas where the music concert will be.
Amphitheater.
No, not just where the concert will be. They've leveled that off and they're trying to they've seeded grass in it actually, and Dan Doran has gone over it 3 times seeding it. And I told him it didn't matter how often he seeded it, it wouldn't grow any faster. So he did finally understand that it wasn't the number of times you seeded it that was going to make it grow. They're doing that. The barns are going to be finished and ready to go. Last night, Monday night, they had a meeting with 4-H folks that were all concerned about where the stalls were going to be in barns. And NER Construction is telling them, we want to finish it, don't come in and have 4-H and parents coming in and bugging us. What else do you need to know?
So, there's a fair board meeting tonight. Is
Yes.
it likely to be any more emergency
I'm going to,
projects?
I'm going to say there probably will be emergencies right up until we have fair of some kind, but I can't determine what those might be yet. We did have our EOTech manager resign. She said she would stay until the end of the fair and rodeo, but then she's gone after that. She's been hired as the new manager for the Safe Center. So,
Heather?
yes. Yep.
So what's the process on how's it going on hiring a manager?
We have 5 applicants, and I don't think that Byron expected this resignation this soon, or maybe even expected it, because last Friday there was to be a meeting, and Byron said he didn't feel there was any real need for a meeting, so Byron canceled the meeting, but I'm sure there'll be a meeting this coming Friday. So, but whether they'll make a decision, and what worries me, and I don't think it's happening, but they seem to be dealing with it. Angie and Cindy are getting the calls and the walk-ins and all that stuff related to EOTech, along with all the fair stuff. And that's not a good, not good situation.
Cindy
for
said she would
us.
stay on. Is she not there?
Cindy?
Heather.
Heather, I mean.
Heather, yeah. She said she'd stay on, but she has not been there.
Oh.
So. Comments, Robert? Or something you can add to this?
Certainly sounds to me like the fair is doing a lot of things that I would expect EOTech should do. Hopefully there will be a point in time when we quit doing that.
Well, we're gonna have to quit doing it, because that's not our responsibility.
But if Heather hasn't been there, it's certainly no great loss if she quits.
No, that's true. So, right now, the goal should be, the goal for the county is to make sure the fair is up and running and going for the fair. And then when the fair's done, we're going to have to address some of the issues and responsibilities that EOTech needs to step up and be doing. Because we're just leasing that facility for, I believe it's 90 days prior and after that window. Is it a 90-day window or a 6?
I don't know, but that would seem extreme.
I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure now.
Well, okay, I think we're just both, I won't speak for Robert, nervous about something that would happen that would cause us to further have to pay for something.
Well, and I'm worried about that too. But right now, our fair board is under the assumption they've got to make do because we don't have the money to keep moving forward. I do know that some of the fair board have purchased materials on their own. They don't expect reimbursement because they know it isn't there. So this is a volunteer thing. Some of the fair board cannot, they can't do that. Now, a couple of fair board members, I don't know if they're, I'll be real blunt. My wife wouldn't allow me to go spend several $1,000s on just a whole bunch of little things for the fair, but a couple of these board members are doing that. After the fair, I don't know if they'll have a huge conflict in the families or not, but they are making do and they're putting funding in and trying to get some things done. So, but we still have water issues. They're using the city's hydrants for fire protection right now to keep things dampened down so they can pack the ground for parking and some roads.
Okay.
They've got the new road in from Ott Road into the front of the rodeo and up to the parking lot for the EOTech Center. So that's in. They'll be finishing up the road on the very north end of the facility that's behind the barns, if they haven't done that already, but that was planned. So when they have all the barn facilities done, that road will be ready to be used.
Notice also a new road coming in on the south boundary from Mott Road.
Yeah, that's the one there are two of them.
There are two come in.
Yeah, one from the south and one on the north.
Yeah.
Can you give us a heads up after the board meeting tonight if there's something we need to know?
Yeah, I will not be going to the board meeting,
Oh, okay.
so
So no one will be there?
not from
Okay.
from us.
The other thing is, are we formally contacting the EOTech board to secure that property where the emergency building is going to be located?
We have not planned to do that, but we can certainly do that. I don't know how that would work in a lease. What we do have leased is where all of our storage stuff is. Now, we talked about having that building be just completely continue to be a county building and use it for our fair staff. The problem with that, when I got to looking at it, that building is setting clear over next to the barns. So for convenience, if somebody is coming in to visit with our fair staff, they've got to go clear through that whole facility and go clear to the end of the barns to get to that, where that cop shop is. That's what they're calling it.
The road, isn't there?
Well, there's a road, but for visibility, it's not a real good area. It would be much better if for visibility we had a storage facility where those containers are and there were offices in there for our fair staff. So, and that's what I would like to see happen, but we don't have funding for it
We
right
missed
now.
a good opportunity when it was moved to
Yeah.
be able to put it there.
Yeah.
It was nice, we did find a crane company in Hermiston that could do that, could lift it up.
Yeah.
I just kind of object to us spending all this money
On EOTech.
on EOTech.
And,
On a
and I
building
will
there we
tell
have.
you,
On a building that, heaven knows, by the time the fair comes around next year, what it will look like.
we do, and I haven't heard it personally, but I'm getting comments from a couple of our fair board members that the city is disgruntled. They don't think the county's putting in enough. But that's neither here nor there for discussion.
Probably normal.
Could we
Yeah.
formally request a list of all the things they're putting in at the moment?
Oh, yeah, we could.
I mean, if in fact that's a documentable complaint from the city,
And I'm not sure it is.
if it's rumor, that's fine. But if in fact the city is making that statement, then I would seriously like to see what that is.
Well,
That they're putting in.
as would I. I think it's on how you put values on things, and whether it's documentable, George, I don't know. But when they say, well, the comment was they don't feel like the county's stepping up and helping out enough with this, well,
I thought we had that conversation.
And I thought there's a board for that purpose, an EOTech board. Not, I mean, it shouldn't be city, county, it should be the EOTech board that needs things.
well, it is the EOTech board, but city, county, we're in this half and
Yeah.
half.
I know.
And the city's saying, wait a minute, county, you're not doing enough. We're doing more than you are. It's this,
Then the EOTech board
Balancing.
ought to provide that information so that we know what they're putting in, because we don't have any idea.
So, if they voluntarily contribute to EOTech, that's their business. If we enter into an agreement with the city to share costs on something, that's a whole nother thing.
yeah.
But if they want to dump money into EOTech, that's their business. Certainly we haven't had that discussion about contributing more to EOTech, and I certainly don't want to.
Well, our main goal has been for the fair right now, get the fair up and running, but George has a good point. We need to find out, and I think as time goes on, we could still make some kind of a arrangement where that facility that we move from Stafford to Ansel is ours.
Right. I guess that's what I'm saying. I'd like to have us pursue that.
And I think we should.
Yeah.
And how that would look, would that piece of ground that it sits on, and that facility, would that be a permanent ownership of the county?
It would be like everything else would be like the lease, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's no different than the
Storage area.
rodeo thing either, would it?
Yeah.
I mean, they must have separate documentation
They do.
for their rodeo thing. That's all we're asking.
Mercantile building, yes.
That's all we're asking for. I wonder if maybe the disproportionate contributions goes back to the feeling that because the treasurer, their city finance and Byron are spending so much time on it, they feel it's disproportionate.
I think
But I
that's a
think
big
as we
part of it.
pointed out to them, that was at their request.
Yeah.
Was it not?
It was.
It was, and Geotech is paying them for a part of the.
But I mean, for Byron's time, it may be consuming a lot of Byron's time, but they asked for that.
They wanted control of it. So, and they have control of it. But going back to George's request, let's see if we can pursue ownership. We basically own the building, but ownership of, or the rental, similar to what Farm City does.
Which should either be ours or should count as a donation of value for the county's portion. I mean,
Putting a value
it's
on that piece.
Put a value on that piece of property and say that we contributed that.
Yeah.
Now, have the city match that or work up to it or?
Well, I realize it's not handy, but I really liked the idea that we would move our staff there off-season. And that's the
Yeah, I like
only
that too,
way,
to separate
that's
the
the
two.
only way we're ever going to seriously address not staffing that office,
Yes.
is to move them to that building.
Yes.
And it must be more than sufficient. I've never been in it, but.
It's pretty good size. Yeah, it is. I've been in.
It's a larger building than I thought it was.
It's larger than where they are now, isn't it?
It's a size, it's a little bigger than this room, isn't it?
It's about like this room in width.
Yeah.
That may be a major or dramatic step in terms of establishing the fact that we're a tenant. The fair is a tenant.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe as long as they're in that office, there's always going to be confusion.
Dividing the authority of each or the responsibilities of each has been a challenge all the way through.
It has, and I'm not sure it's the best arrangement if we could separate fair specifically more than it is now from EOTech. It would be much better. So it's well delineated what the fair and where they are, and what EOTech is and what they're doing.
As long as our fair personnel are providing services, EOTech will not know what their real picture is for management.
Correct.
So, and we're at this point also providing, and there's some cost to it, we're providing some of the maintenance on the grounds right now. Our maintenance people have been down doing a few things.
The fair board
And
sounds like it's doing a ton.
And the fair board is doing more than they can afford to do. And it's creating some real hardships on some of those folks because they have regular jobs. But when they're going out and begging and borrowing equipment to do some land leveling and water trucks and stuff like that, that's been a huge burden on them. And EOTech hasn't been able to deal with that. Part of it is Byron's been off doing some other stuff with the city and personal stuff.
Well, then let the record show that we're deeply concerned about providing a disproportionate share of contributions of time and effort
Okay.
to that facility. So the rumor can start the other direction.
Okay.
How's that?
Robert, do you have anything else to add? To throw out here for thought, food for thought?
No, I don't think so this time.
Okay. We're going to have our county staff, you guys are going to be down there for the financial end of it when we get going. Something that has not been addressed has been the ticket issues, collecting those tickets and money for tickets and processing them. I'm not sure that Farm City really has a well-established agreement between Farm City and the fair on that division of tickets. And they wanted it to just be a handshake for $6,000. And I asked Cindy to visit with you about that. Where are we with that?
The one terms have not been pinned down yet, so I'm not quite ready.
Okay. Is that going to be an issue, do you think?
I don't know. The information I had is it just hadn't been negotiated.
Okay. So that's something that will be coming up, but I'll be back before we even get into that. So.
Where, in a separate matter, where will the commissioners be parking?
We're going to be parking on the other side of the EOTech Event Center. Back where the, where all the HVAC units are on the side of that building, be back there. We have parking spots back there. And we will have stickers to go on our windshield that allows us in.
Okay.
And then the fair parade. I asked Cindy and I asked Gay to make sure that the commissioners had their vehicles for the parade. Gay said that Brockers had a 6-person Surrey, horse-drawn Surrey. I don't know who's going to run the Surrey, whether it'll be one of us or there'll be a driver.
Short straw.
Huh?
Short straw.
I'm handicapped.
We know. But anyway.
I'm more concerned about getting into it than driving it.
Brockers are going to provide that. And my understanding was has been a refurbished Surrey, rebuilt or.
Are there going to be stricter rules on candy?
I
mean, I read something from the fair board, or the fair board, about the rules say you can't throw candy, but they do.
They do,
They do
and
themselves.
They always have. But somebody in Pendleton went to the fair board, and there was something else, and I don't know who it was now, but a Pendleton resident wanted all parades in the county to have throwing candy banned, totally. And I don't know where that came from. Gay was talking about that. They'd contacted our fair board, and Gay specifically because he's in charge of the parade, but didn't want any candy being thrown out during the fair parade. So I don't know where we're at there.
Sugar? What?
I don't know. It was a result of the.
The kid got really hurt.
Killed.
Yeah.
No, not for throwing out candy.
No, but he fell off a float in Baker City. But
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do with
Last
candy.
weekend during the Miners Jubilee Parade, a 7-year-old boy fell off a float and was run over and killed.
Fell off what?
A float.
He was run over by a tire on the float and killed.
Oh, wow.
7 years old.
So, but this individual didn't want any candy thrown out during the parade, and he's filed a big protest to have that. So I don't know.
Well, I understand. On the one hand, I'm not opposed to sugar, but to me, the parade has been a blur for 4 years.
Because we were busy throwing
Our
out candy.
participants, I don't even know who we've seen along the line. I mean, in terms of, if we're riding through the parade to interact with the crowd, that's lost.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
we're looking down
We're so preoccupied with
getting handfuls of
getting
candy.
the candy out of it.
And it does draw kids out into the street.
It does.
But do you ever see anybody along the route? I mean, the
Oh,
candy.
I've seen people I know.
Yeah, but we're so preoccupied
Yeah.
with the candy that,
So that's where we're at with the fair parade part of it. And the livestock sale, we'll go ahead, I'm assuming, and do the boost this year.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I asked about the parking because I may still be
Oh, on your boot?
getting around the fairgrounds may be an issue.
And something was said about transportation, people movers. They're trying to get people movers from Benton County, the Richland Fair. Is it Benton County Fair? And and that's just for the fairgrounds. I'm not sure I understand what people movers are. They're wagons, I guess.
They're giant, they're like golf carts, but bigger.
Oh, but they're not self-propelled. They have to have tractors to pull them.
Really? That's
Well,
what,
that was-
Some of them.
that's what Cindy said, is they're basically just big golf carts, so you can,
Oh,
But
my
there are
understanding.
Put a
some-
lot of people in, kind of like a,
But I thought I heard reference to tractors. I think there are some of them that they do have tractors that pull them.
okay, because they were looking for volunteers to drive them,
Yeah,
so.
and they
the
were
people
looking for
movers.
volunteer tractor drivers too, so, I don't know. So we'll have those, but for handicapped people, they will have transportation available.
I may pursue transporting my golf cart from Echo to the fairgrounds.
And
And I have a golf cart.
Cindy said commissioners would have transportation. I didn't ask her if it was a golf cart or a four-wheeler or a horse and buggy or with a special driver or what.
Pain in the butt to move it. I'll ask them. I'll
I
take
think
care of it.
the contacts came through the regular golf carts, so. You should
Okay.
have the usual there.
Usually I don't want one, but I'll talk to her.
Yeah, with being handicapped, you're gonna need one.
I know.
just get a roller skate on the end of it.
So,
I'll take care of that part.
Skateboard.
Okay?
any unexpected, what do we have, anything left at all for contingency for the fair budget?
Well, we're in a new budget year. There is some money in the fair moving fund. I continue to be curious about what obligations will appear
Okay.
in connection with that. But until we have some money in the fair moving fund, I think the fair carried forward a little more money than they had anticipated, so that's.
That'll help.
Couldn't we legitimately charge the portable and its expenses to moving?
Oh, I would think that's an appropriate place for it.
Charging the what?
The cost of moving that portable and the electrical and the plumbing
It's the
and
cost of moving, sure
would
it
be a
is.
legitimate moving expense.
Yeah.
Well, right now Dan doesn't have a home for it, so that'd be a
Yeah, I
good,
would think that's- I would think
be a
that's-
good home.
I would think that's a fair moving expense.
So in the few days that I'm gone, Do you want me to have Gay as board chair? Anything that's going to be a charge, a cost, because that was your concern. Get a hold of you specifically.
Or Robert.
Or Robert.
But I just would be nervous if they, I don't think Gay ever would, but I'd just be nervous if they encumbered something that would be a surprise to us. Right, Robert?
I don't think they would do it intentionally, but
I think that's a serious.
Well, Saturday's the work day, isn't it?
yeah.
Some of the Fair Board members are far more enthusiastic about spending money they think they have than others.
I don't think Gay is one of them.
No, I think there's a few that aren't, but there's a few that are.
So I will visit with Gay today and make sure that bills coming in and money being spent and encumbrances being made on behalf of the fair in the name of the county goes through you, or goes through Robert.
I don't want to confuse. I don't want to get involved in managing the Fair Board budget because they have budget authority.
Yeah, they have.
I'm only concerned about surprise or extraordinary expenses.
Right, I get that.
Right, Robert? Yeah.
So we don't find out that, oh, they decided to spend at the very last minute $30,000 to put up some kind of a tent or something.
Right, that's.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
Okay.
Someone said the meeting's over.
Wild lights turn on.
That's a signal.
Okay.
That's a good signal.
And is there anything else that we need to discuss? All right, we are adjourned.